No one at Ed Parker's dojo in Los Angeles knew they were about to witness the beginning of a legendary friendship. Not the 30 students watching from the sidelines, not Ed Parker himself, standing with arms crossed near the wall, and certainly not Chuck Norris, the reigning karate world champion, who had walked through the door 5 minutes earlier, expecting to observe a curious teaching method and leave. He was 6 feet tall, 175 pounds of tournament-tested technique, multiple world championship victories, a professional martial artist at the peak of his career. His kicks were legendary in the karate world. His forms were textbook perfect. He'd defeated every major competitor in his weight class. But in the next 20 minutes, everything Chuck Norris thought he knew about fighting would be challenged by a 5'7" Chinese instructor who moved like water and struck like lightning. This is the story of the day 2 martial arts legends met for the first time. This is the moment that changed Chuck Norris forever and created a friendship that would last until Bruce Lee's death 5 years later. Los Angeles, California. Ed Parker's Kenpo Karate Studio. August 1968. The afternoon sun filters through the large windows facing the street. The studio is modest but well maintained. Hardwood floors polished to a mirror shine. Mirrors covering one entire wall. Heavy bags hanging from reinforced ceiling mounts. The air carries the familiar scent of canvas, sweat, and floor wax. 30 students in white GIs sit in neat rows along the sides of the training area. And they're silent, attentive. They know something significant is about to happen. Ed Parker stands near the back wall. His expression is carefully neutral, but those who know him well can see the anticipation in his eyes. Parker is one of the most influential martial artists in America. Hawaiian-born, founder of American Kenpo, the man who brought karate to mainstream America through his tournaments and celebrity connections. He's also the man who first saw Bruce Lee demonstrate in 1964 and immediately recognized he was witnessing something that shouldn't be possible. Parker had been trying to arrange this meeting for months. Chuck Norris and Bruce Lee, the karate world champion and the kung fu iconoclast. 2 completely different approaches to martial arts. 2 completely different philosophies. Parker knew that when these 2 men met, something important would happen. He just didn't know what. Chuck Norris had arrived 15 minutes earlier. He came out of professional curiosity, not skepticism. Chuck wasn't like some of the traditional martial artists who dismissed anything outside their style. He'd been training since his military service in Korea. He'd competed in dozens of tournaments. He'd won world championships. But he'd also learned that the moment you stop being curious, you stop growing. So when Ed Parker called and said, "There's someone I want you to meet, someone different," Chuck agreed to visit. He expected to observe a teaching session, maybe exchange some ideas, perhaps spar lightly if the instructor was willing. What he didn't expect was to have his entire understanding of timing, distance, and technique reconstructed in less than half an hour. Bruce Lee is already on the floor when Chuck arrives. He's working with one of Parker's senior students, demonstrating intercept timing. Bruce is wearing his typical training clothes, black pants, black fitted shirt, no traditional uniform, no belt, no rank insignia, nothing that would identify him as a martial arts instructor except the way he moves. Chuck watches from the sideline. His trained eye immediately notices things. The instructor is small, maybe 5'7", 140 pounds at most, but he moves with a precision that catches Chuck's attention. Every motion is economical, no wasted movement, no excessive telegraphing. When he demonstrates a technique, it's not flashy, it's functional. Ed Parker approaches Chuck, keeps his voice low. "That's him," Bruce Lee. Chuck nods. I've heard the name. Teaches Wing Chun? Teaches his own system now. Calls it Jeet Kune Do, the way of the intercepting fist. Intercepting? You'll see. Bruce finishes with the student and turns toward the sideline. Parker makes the introduction. Bruce, this is Chuck Norris, current world karate champion, multiple tournament victories, one of the best point fighters in America. Bruce extends his hand. Chuck shakes it. The grip is firm, strong. The forearms Chuck notices are disproportionately developed. The hands of someone who's done thousands of hours of specific training. Ed's told me about you, Bruce says. His English carries a slight accent, Hong Kong inflected but clear. Your tournament record is impressive. Thank you. Ed's told me about your different approach. Bruce smiles slightly. Different. That's diplomatic. I mean no disrespect. I'm genuinely curious. Ed says you've developed techniques that challenge traditional methods. Not challenge, complement. Traditional martial arts are beautiful, disciplined, but sometimes tradition becomes limitation. Bruce pauses. Would you like to see what I mean? Chuck glances at Parker. The studio owner nods slightly. I'd like that. Good. Step onto the floor. The 30 students shift forward slightly. They sense something significant is about to happen. Chuck removes his shoes and steps onto the polished hardwood. Bruce is already there, waiting, relaxed. In tournament fighting, Bruce begins, addressing both Chuck and the watching students. You score points by landing techniques first. Speed and distance management are critical, correct? Chuck nods. That's the foundation of point fighting. Show me your guard, your tournament stance. Chuck assumes his fighting position, classic karate stance, weight distributed, hands positioned for defense and offense. It's a stance refined through hundreds of hours of competition, a stance that's won him world championships. Bruce circles slowly, studying. His eyes move over Chuck's position the way an engineer examines a structure. Your stance is excellent, solid, balanced. Against another karate fighter using the same framework, you have significant advantages. Your height, your reach, your tournament experience. Bruce stops circling. But your stance has a telegraph. Chuck frowns. A telegraph? Before you strike, you prepare. Small adjustments, weight shifts, hip rotations. These preparations are tiny, fractions of a second. But they're readable. Every technique requires preparation. That's basic physics. Is it? Bruce asks. May I demonstrate something? Of course. Throw your best technique at me, whatever you're most confident in. Full speed. Don't hold back. Chuck hesitates. This isn't sparring. This is a demonstration in someone else's dojo. But Bruce's expression is serious. He genuinely wants to see Chuck's best. Chuck decides on his signature technique, a reverse punch, fast, powerful, the technique that scored points against world-class competitors. He sets his stance, takes a breath, then he strikes. The punch is exceptional, tournament-level speed and power, the kind of technique that would score against 99% of fighters. Bruce isn't there. Chuck's fist travels through empty space. Bruce has moved, not backward. So to the side, at an angle, just enough displacement to make the punch miss by 2 inches. But what catches Chuck's attention isn't the evasion, it's the timing. Bruce moved before Chuck threw the punch, not after, before. Again, Bruce says, different technique. Chuck tries a front kick, fast snap kick to the midsection. One of his most reliable tournament techniques. Same result. Bruce isn't where the kick travels. He's shifted, angled, gone. And again, the timing feels wrong to Chuck. It feels like Bruce is reacting before Chuck commits to the technique. One more time. Bruce says. Your fastest combination. Chuck unleashes a 3-technique combination. Jab, reverse punch, roundhouse kick. Tournament speed, competition intensity. All 3 techniques miss. Not by much. Bruce's movements are minimal. 2 inches here. We're 3 inches there. But the result is absolute. Chuck's combination, which has defeated world champions, finds only air. Bruce steps back. Do you feel it? Chuck is breathing slightly harder. Not from exertion, from concentration. Feel what? The telegraph. Before you threw the jab, your shoulder rose 1/4 inch. Before the reverse punch, your hip shifted. Before the kick, your weight transferred to your support leg. These movements happen before the technique begins. They're preparatory, and they're readable. Chuck processes this. His analytical mind, the same mind that earned him multiple world championships through strategic fighting, recognizes the truth in Bruce's words. Every martial art he's studied emphasizes proper technique. And proper technique requires preparation, setup, loading. Yeah, so how do you eliminate the telegraph? Chuck asks. You don't eliminate it. You change when it happens. Bruce demonstrates. He stands in a natural position, no fighting stance, hands at his sides. Then, without visible preparation, his hand shoots forward. A straight lead punch. No wind-up, no shoulder rise, no weight shift that Chuck can see. The punch is simply there, delivered, returned. That's... Chuck searches for words. That shouldn't be possible. You can't generate power without hip rotation. I didn't say I don't rotate the hips. I said I don't telegraph the rotation. Bruce demonstrates again. Slower this time. The rotation happens during the technique, not before it. The power generation and the strike are simultaneous. For the next hour, Bruce deconstructs and reconstructs Chuck's understanding of martial arts. Yeah, not to prove superiority, to share knowledge, to demonstrate principles that exist outside any single style. He shows Chuck Chi Sao, sensitivity training. They stand face to face, forearms touching. Bruce asks Chuck to try to hit his face while maintaining forearm contact. Chuck tries. His tournament reflexes are excellent, but every time he moves, Bruce's arms are already there, deflecting, redirecting, finding openings that Chuck's movements create. You're reacting to what I'm doing, Chuck observes. I'm feeling what you're doing. There's a difference. When your arm touches mine, I sense the tension before it becomes movement. Your muscles tense before they contract. Your weight shifts before you strike. I'm not seeing these things. I'm feeling them through the contact point. Like a sixth sense. Like a trained sensitivity. No different than a pianist feeling the keys, a surgeon feeling tissue resistance. You train the nerves to read information faster than the eyes can process it. Chuck's mind races. This concept doesn't exist in karate. Tournament fighting is visual. You see the opponent, read their body language, react to their movements. But this is something else entirely. They move to sparring, light contact. The goal isn't to hurt each other, it's to explore principles. Chuck uses his tournament techniques. Bruce demonstrates concepts Chuck has never encountered. At one point, Chuck throws a combination that would score in any tournament. Bruce intercepts it, not blocks it. Intercepts. His hand meets Chuck's attacking hand before the technique fully develops. It's not defense. It's not offense. It's something that happens in the space between the two. This is what Jeet Kune Do means, Bruce explains. Intercepting fist. I don't wait for your attack and then respond. I intercept your attack during its development, while your technique is still forming. How do you train that timing? The same way you trained your tournament timing. Thousands of repetitions. But the focus is different. You train to see the preparation phase, to read the telegraph, Then you train to respond to the telegraph instead of the technique. The 30 students watching are silent. They're witnessing something unprecedented. A world karate champion, someone at the absolute top of competitive martial arts, is being shown that his understanding, while excellent, is incomplete. But there's no ego clash, no dominance display. Now, what's happening on the floor is two professionals exchanging knowledge. Bruce isn't trying to prove karate is inferior. He's showing Chuck that there are concepts outside Chuck's current framework. And Chuck, to his credit, isn't defending his style. He's absorbing, learning, adapting. Your kicks, Bruce says after a particularly fast combination from Chuck. They're powerful, excellent technique, but they follow a pattern. Set up, chamber, extend, retract. What if you eliminate the chamber? You can't generate power without chambering the leg. Can't you? Bruce demonstrates. A side kick from a neutral standing position. No visible chamber. The leg simply extends. Fast, direct. When it impacts the heavy bag, the sound is like a gunshot. Chuck walks to the bag, examines it. The impact point shows the force was significant. But how is that possible? Physics. The chamber doesn't generate power. Hip rotation and leg extension generate power. The chamber is just traditional methodology. Sometimes traditional methodology creates unnecessary steps. They continue for another 30 minutes. Bruce shows concepts. Chuck asks questions. The exchange is genuine. There's mutual respect happening in real time. Two martial artists from completely different worlds finding common ground in functional effectiveness. Finally, Ed Parker steps forward. Gentlemen, we've been going for almost 2 hours. Chuck looks at his watch. Surprised? It felt like 20 minutes. He's soaked with sweat. Bruce is breathing normally, barely exerted despite the constant demonstration. Bruce, Chuck says, extending his hand. Thank you. This has been revelatory. You're welcome. But understand, I'm not saying karate is wrong. Karate is excellent. Your technique is exceptional. I'm just showing you there are concepts outside any single style. Concepts that work regardless of your base system. I want to learn more. Would you be willing to teach me? Bruce considers this. I don't take many private students. My focus is developing Jeet Kune as a complete system. I'm not asking to become your student. I'm asking to train with you. Exchange. I'll show you what tournament fighting has taught me about strategy and conditioning. You show me these intercept concepts and sensitivity training. Bruce's expression shifts. An exchange. That's different. If you're willing. I'm willing. That handshake in Ed Parker's dojo in August 1968 began a friendship that would last 5 years, until Bruce Lee's death in 1973. Chuck Norris would train with Bruce regularly, learning concepts that would fundamentally change his approach to martial arts. He would integrate sensitivity training into his karate, incorporate intercept timing into his tournament strategy, eliminate unnecessary telegraphs from his techniques. In return, Chuck showed Bruce what high-level competitive fighting revealed about stamina, strategy, and the mental game of facing opponents who'd studied your previous fights. He shared conditioning methods from his tournament preparation, psychological approaches to competition pressure. Their friendship was genuine, built on mutual respect and shared passion for martial arts evolution. When Bruce needed an opponent for his film Way of the Dragon, he chose Chuck. Not because Chuck was a name, but because Chuck understood fighting in ways that would make their choreographed battle look authentic. The fight scene they created in the Roman Colosseum became legendary, not just because of the choreography, because two genuine martial artists, two men who'd spent hundreds of hours training together, were demonstrating real technique in a fictional framework. The respect between them was visible in every exchange. Los Angeles, 1968. The afternoon two legends met, not as rivals, not as challenger and champion, as professionals recognizing in each other something rare: the willingness to learn, the humility to admit that no single style contains all answers, the courage to step outside your comfort zone and explore what you don't know. Ed Parker watched that first meeting from the sideline. Years later, he would describe it as one of the most important moments in American martial arts history, not because of what happened, because of what it represented: the bridge between traditional and progressive, the recognition that evolution doesn't require abandoning tradition. It requires being honest about what works and what doesn't. Chuck Norris never forgot what he learned that day. After Bruce's death, Chuck would continue teaching, competing, acting, but he always spoke about Bruce with reverence, not because Bruce defeated him. They never fought, because Bruce showed him there was more to learn than he'd imagined possible. In interviews decades later, Chuck would say, "Bruce Lee changed how I thought about martial arts, not because he proved karate was wrong, because he showed me that every style has something to contribute. And the truly great martial artists are the ones humble enough to learn from everyone." August 1968. Ed Parker's Dojo. 30 witnesses. 2 hours that created a friendship and changed the trajectory of American martial arts. The day Chuck Norris, world karate champion, met Bruce Lee, unknown instructor, and discovered that champions never stop being students.